So much of hope and expectation from the children today, after 200 years now. Whether the plans the parents have, expectations the parents have towards their children, whether they accomplish or not accomplish, along with the plans and expectations, everything is gone. Not even a single person 200 years ago is alive today. That is a fact. That's a fact. It's a whole new generation of the human beings came on this earth. Now, 200 years in the future from now, 7.6 billion human beings who are present today. Guaranteed, not even a single person is going to be left there. Not even a single person is going to be left there. It's going to be totally a different world, a different generation. Not even a single person left today, left then. So we see that this is the impermanence, which means that I will also disappear. And I'm thinking back in time, 200 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 2,018 years ago, when Jesus Christ came. And like 3,000 years ago, when Abraham and Jacob and they were there. And then 2,500 years ago, when the Buddha Shakyamuni, Mahavir were there. And then 5,000 years ago, 1 million years ago, 0.3 million years ago, the human being first came on this earth. And then 15 billion years ago, the universe first came into being. Whether a single Big Bang or multiple Big Bang, the first Big Bang, the Big Bang which resulted in this world system that we have, started 15 billion years ago. Think back in time, 15 billion years ago, and thinking in the future, 15 billion years in the future, what we're experiencing today, 100 years is nothing. At the most, somebody can live for 120, 130, at the most. It's nothing. It's just like a speck of dust in the vast expanse of the universe. Just a speck of dust, shallow, so brief. So brief means it's impermanent. This impermanence should make us realize that we are a guest on this earth. A guest means that you are not going to live long. You're going to be very short duration. A guest will not think of buying refrigerator, aircon, washing machine, the big things. We will not think of, guests will not think of creating a tennis court and so forth, because we know that it's going to be just 3 days, 4 days, 1 week, at the most 10 days, 1 month, you're gone then. So guests, if we realize that we're guests on this earth, then we will not think of investing all our resources, energy, time, just on this ephemeral life, impermanent life, transitory life. So whatever resources, time, energy that we have will be invested for the journey onward. This is how the guest perspective is. Only if you realize that we are a guest on this earth, we'll become so wise as to how to utilize the resources, energy, the time. This is the reality. With this in mind, all what we see as impermanent, the underscored, what underscores that is this subtle impermanence of momentariness. Imagine that there's a tree. Say, for example, the age. For example, in my case, say I'm already 50 today, which means that the white hairs are growing and the wrinkles are coming. All these things are happening, and then the dark spots are coming on the skin. These are facts, and these don't happen overnight. This happened year by year, year by year, year by year. It was cumulative. And what happened over 1 year was again not happened suddenly overnight. It was from month by month, week by week, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second. And this is what is bound to happen to everyone today. Somebody who's so young is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, complexion so beautiful. This, if you think carefully, the change has been started since the day when we are born, and this is not going to be lasting. Just look at somebody else who is, if you look at somebody, if you can track somebody who is say 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, still having that youth, still with that youth, then you can say, okay, the youth that I have will remain like this forever. But for sure, people you see amongst 40, 60, 70, amongst them, no doubt that they were once, their physical appearance is so appealing, complexion is so perfect and so forth. Now you cannot locate even a single person who is the 60 years, 70 years, 80 years old, whose complexion is so beautiful, appealing. You cannot locate anyone, which means that anybody who is going through this at this moment, no doubt will eventually end up with this. This is a reality. This is what the Buddha indicated, that youth will be followed by old age, and the birth will be followed by death, and gathering will be followed by separation, and standing will be followed by the fall, and accumulation is followed by exhaustion. This is what the Buddha very clearly indicated, and it's very true. So with this in mind, this impermanence, which is so evident, prominent, is possible only if there's a momentariness happening, the change happening on the momentary level, which means the change that you see in 10 years time, 20 years time, 30 years time is possible only if there's a change happening on the yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, minute by minute, and second by second, and millisecond by millisecond, and you go on like that. So the change that you see in the minute by minute, if you look at the wall clock, it may not be visible, but the change that is happening on the second by second is so visible. Is so visible. The time duration between the two tick sounds of the tick, 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 tick. The time duration between these two tick sounds is 1 second. So this is so visible. This is how our body is changing. This is how our mind is changing. This is how the whole universe is changing. This is how the people, your parents are changing. This is how the people around you are changing. And the change that you see in the second level is possible only if there is a change happening on the millisecond level. Millisecond level means a second split into 1,000 times, 1,000th of a second. So what is that like? It's so fast. In actuality, our body, our mind, the universe in which we live in, your parents, your people around you, your children, they are all moving at such a fast pace. Such a fast pace, like a very fast moving train. When you're in train, be mindful. Just be watchful of what this sounds like. Just remember what this sounds like. When it moves so fast, this is how body is moving. This is how all composite things are moving. Which means that it's moving so fast. Imagine that you suddenly a stranger picks you up and throws you in a very fast moving train. What do you feel? So much of fear. Faster the train, more the fear. Why fear? Because we don't know where I'm going, where this train is taking me. Likewise, we don't know where I'm going. The body is moving so fast. The body is changing so fast. And my mind is also changing so fast. Where am I going? Towards what direction I'm going? So this train, who decides where this train is going? Whether to a picnic spot or to a slaughterhouse? That is determined by who dictates the driver. If the driver is dictated by your mother and your father, no doubt this train will take you to a picnic spot. Whereas if the driver is dictated by the government, dominated by the terrorists, no doubt it will take you to the slaughterhouse. In that case, unfortunately, the driver, which is none other than a mind, it is under the dictate of the two worst demons and the terrorists, self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. As long as our mind is under the force of these two demons, self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude, with the worst of the contaminations, the result that will end up in is only going to be miseries. This is what the Buddha indicated as the second seal all contaminated things of suffering nature. The worst of the contaminations are the self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. As long as we are under the sway of these two contaminations, they will only take us to miseries, not at all to happiness. What kind of miseries? Sickness, aging, death, the pain of losing near and dear ones, stress, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, lamentation, grief. All these pains, they are so acute, and the feeling of the heaviness of the mind when you're in the grip of the jealousy, anger, the heaviness, corrosion. This is so acutely painful, particularly somebody going through depression. The pain is so acute, so solidified, so objectified, like a solid lead at your heart, dragging it down, putting it down. This is the kind of the pain that you're going through. No one's responsible for this, no one's to be blamed, only the self-centered attitude, self-grasping feelings. As long as you have these two things, we are never going to be spared from all the problems. And self-grasping ignorance will continue to create this dream of the conventionality, sickness, aging, death, sometimes pleasant dreams, sometimes unpleasant dreams. Just as, even though they are the pleasant dreams, but you don't have the choice. Okay, tonight I'll have a dream of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'll have a dream of making up the audience, having audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, then His Holiness giving me advice and so forth. Nobody can say this. Everybody wishes for that, but nobody can say that tonight I'll have this dream, because the dream is not in your hand. If it is not in your hand, you don't have the freedom to choose the dream. Even if it is a pleasant dream, you don't have the freedom to choose this. So lack of freedom, who dictates this? That has stolen your freedom. Who dictates this? Is self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude. Self-grasping ignorance is one which dictates all these dreams, the pleasant, unpleasant. If I tell you, okay, do you have the freedom to choose what you like to do? What are you going to become after 10 years? After 15 years, 20 years? No, nobody can say this. Nobody can say this. So this is actually at the dictate of this self-grasping ignorance. Then the self-grasping ignorance creates this platform, and the self-centered attitude plays on this. They plays the drama on this. So combined together, then we are thrown into the afflictions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, competition, fear, anxiety, and so forth. And then we are drawn to the engage in contaminated negative karmas, and then the misery is perpetuated. This is a very sad story, biography of the samsaric beings. And when will this stop? When will this so exhausting, so tiring to even think of that? In fact, one moment of the feeling of pain is good enough. For example, the pain of losing near and dear ones. This is one moment of that is good enough to nullify all the good experiences, pleasant experiences, the pleasurable experiences they have had before. You will see, oh, the world is so gloomy, so dark. One moment is good enough. This is what is dictated upon us by the self-grasping and self-centered attitude. This is how weak we are. While we have this Buddha nature within us, why should we be weak? Why should we surrender to these two demons? Okay, how to get out of this suffering altogether then? Only if we bring an end to the cause of the suffering. All these sufferings are because of the contaminated karmas, burst by the self, by the negative karmas. And these in turn were because of the afflictions, which in turn are because of the inappropriate attention, which in turn are all because of the self-grasping ignorance, acted upon by the self-centered attitude. Only if you get rid of this self-grasping ignorance, all these miseries will come to an end. Self-centered attitude cannot play on this anymore to attract the inappropriate attention, afflictions, contaminated karmas, and miseries. Miseries automatically stop. Once you cut the root of the poisonous tree, however millions of poisonous leaves they are growing on the tree, they will all dry on their own. Wow, this is amazing. But how to get rid of this self-grasping ignorance? Yes. For that, we have to introduce this wisdom. What is the wisdom? Wisdom is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. What's the reality? The reality is, as the Buddha indicated, the third seal. Everything is of the nature of emptiness, selflessness. What does it mean by everything nature of selfless emptiness? That everything is like a dream. Nothing really exists from the object. Everything is subject real. If it simply exists by the part of your mind, nothing really exists from the object. How can I know this? Okay, let's quickly meditate on the emptiness of the self. What are you doing? I'm meditating. What is your body doing? My body is in meditative posture. And how does this person appear to you? Like a dream? Your mind creating it? Or like a movie projector? Like a movie being projected by the movie projector? Or something so independent of there, nothing to do with the movie projector. It's like the painting, which has nothing to do with the projector there. It's just like the solid object there, nothing to do with my mind, not like a dream. Which of the two ways this person appeared to you now? Of course, in the second way, so objectified there, so solidified there, nothing to do with mind. This is known as the objective, the perception of the objective existence and the self-grasping ignorance. This is deceptive. How can I know that this is deceptive? How can I know that this is not true? Yes. Remember what Arjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? In a like manner, if this person, if this I were to exist objectively, why don't I see this person, this I, as I go closer to this object? With the same reason, the token reason, they applied by Arjuna. If this I were to exist objectively, why don't I see this person as I go closer to this object? Okay, let us go closer to this object. Going closer to this object, we see that I've just made that on the surface there's just a very thin layer of the skin. We are only interested to look for the self, which appears as so object real from the object. We're interested in that self. Anything which is not a self, we will ignore, we'll keep them aside. Okay, first we see a very thin layer of the skin. Of course, this is not me. I'm only interested in the self. Keep that aside. Behind that is the worst, is the fatty tissues. If the skin is ripped off, the fatty tissues is so repulsive to look at. Of course, that is not me. Move that. Behind that is the cartilages, the muscles. Of course, these are not me. Remove that. Behind that is the bone, the whole skeleton. Of course, that is not me. Then alongside, heart, lungs, the spleen, the pancreas, the kidneys, the liver, the gallbladder. None of these solid parts is me. All the solid parts, they constitute the element of earth. Element of earth is not me, keep that aside. What is left now? Element water, the blood which is pumped in and out by the heart of the different parts of the body. Of course, the blood element of water is also not me. Of course, that is not me. Keep that aside. What? Element of fire, the body heat. The body heat increases and decreases. Whereas I don't increase, I don't decrease. The body heat for sure is not me. Keep that aside. Element of air. Air which I breathe in and out. Of course, that is not me. Keep that aside. Element of space. Our body is made of protons, electrons, neutrons, of course atoms. And the atoms, the space occupied, the space between the electrons and the nucleus. This space is much far bigger than the space occupied by the electrons, protons, neutrons. So essentially we see that our body is nothing but a vacuum. But is this space the vacuum? Part of your body, is that you? Of course not. I'm a solid person, whereas the vacuum, the space, the vacuum in nature. So even that is also not me. What is left now? Only the consciousness or the mind is left. Even the consciousness of the mind is not me, because I'm a male, I'm a female. My consciousness does not have a gender, My gentlest posture on the basis of my body. So therefore, even this consciousness is also not me. And also that I'm the people can see me. People can see my mind. So therefore, this mind and consciousness also not me. Keep it aside. What is left now? Nothing is left there. Stay there. Now you have come too close to the object, and to your amazement, to your surprise, you realize that nothing is left there as a person. The person which I saw as so objectified, so solid there, so solidified there, is deceptive, is not there. It's the person is empty. Stay in this experience for a while. Okay. What's the benefit of this? If I know, if I meditate on this emptiness of the self, what's the benefit? Just as this self is empty in this experience, you subject anything, the way you subject the self to this analysis, you can subject anything, including sickness, aging, death, depression, tension, anxiety, sickness, aging, all these undesirable things into this analysis, they will all disappear. You will see that they are all empty from the object side. Like dream, from the object side, nothing is really there. So, just as when you wake up from the nightmare of the dream, being chased by a ghost, dream ghost, chased by that, and so much of fear, you wake up realizing that this is just dream coming from your mind, the fear instantly dissolves. Likewise, you wake up from this ignorance, which viewed self, the sickness, aging, death, all these miseries are so objectively real. Now you realize that they're all nothing but like a dream coming from your mind. The moment you realize that, you're instantly freed from all the fears and pains of your life. This is when all the mental disturbance stop. You transcend all mental disturbance. You transcend all mental sorrow. The moment this disturbance stops is the absolute peace. So this is what the Buddha indicated as transcending sorrow is absolute peace. So this absolute peace can be experienced in the experience of the emptiness. Only in this experience of emptiness, all these miseries dissolve. Happiness also dissolves. Dissolving the happiness and miseries alike, that is known as the transcendental happiness. You transcend the likes and the dislikes. You transcend happiness, the unhappiness. You transcend the happiness which transcend, it is known as suffering change. You transcend everything. You have reached the transcendental happiness. This is nirvana. And anyone seeking to experience this nirvana, this transcendental experience, on the basis of the experience of emptiness, is the final understanding, most refined understanding of the renunciation. Okay, stay in this experience. May I achieve this state of total pacification of all miseries and cause miseries within the experience of the ambience of emptiness. Stay in this experience for a while. This is the real renunciation. In this experience, we see that anything which pulls you, which makes you to become so weak, pulls you and push you, stop. You gain total freedom. You are not weak anymore. This is a total pacification. This is a total freedom. This is the meaning of the nirvana, total freedom. And any mind seeking this experience of emptiness, where all these miseries dissolve, your freedom is regained fully, is the renunciation. Okay, slowly come out of this for a few seconds before we switch to the Dorji practice. Are you ready? Ready for the Dorji practice? Okay. For the Bodhicitta practice, we're going to use, for the Bodhicitta practice, actually there are two methods. The method of sevenfold consequent method, regenerate bodhicitta, and the method of equalizing and exchanging of others. These the two methods are there. And to be very honest, without practicing these two methods, expecting bodhicitta to arise through some means is impossible. It's living in an illusion. So we have to practice the two methods. And if you're so keen, there are many books by His Holiness the Dalai Lama on these two methods, and the one book by my teacher which is known as Bodhicitta, The Awakened Mind by Venerable Geshe This is a very beautiful book and it's very powerful, and he was a real example of Bodhisattva. So on several occasions I had a very strong feeling being with him. I had a very strong feeling that if there is one Bodhisattva on this earth, he must be the one. This was a very strong feeling that came to me several times. Okay, so he wrote this book, the title is Bodhicitta, and his name is Geshe. So you can read this book, and there are many books by His Holiness, and the real embodiment of the Bodhisattva today that we see is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So these books are there on these two methods. The point that I'm making is, read these methods to understand how to meditate. Once you know how to meditate, then you have to practice it. Without practicing, what's the point? So that the doctor gives you the prescription and you read it and then you leave it aside, not getting medicines. So there's no point. So likewise, we have to practice on the basis of these two methods. If you practice bodhicitta on these two methods, I cannot guarantee that in this life you'll have bodhicitta, but for sure you'll become a happier and happier person. Age-wise, you become older. Usually what happens as we become older, we tend to be nostalgic of our youth. You remember your youth. You become nostalgic of the youth. But now, on the contrary, if you practice bodhicitta, if you practice wisdom of emptiness, then as you become older, you will not at all be nostalgic of your youth. Instead, what is youth? When I was 20 years old, I did not know anything, right? When I was 30 years old, I did not know anything. Now, right, because of having met with this teaching on wisdom of emptiness, because I have met with this bodhicitta practice, I did my best to the best I can, and now I feel that I'm much happier than when I was 30 years old, when I was 20 years old, when I was 10 years old, right? So this kind of feeling will come to you. If that comes to you, this is so beautiful, right? The older you are, the more happy you are. So whereas usually without these two practices, what happens? Older you are, more unhappy you become, more nostalgic you become of your youth, right? Okay, so this is what will happen only if you practice. Only if you practice, these things will happen. So therefore, finally, to be kind to yourself and to be wisely kind to yourself. How to be wisely kind to yourself? Do things which will actually make you happier. What are the things that will actually make you happier? Practice of the bodhicitta, practice of wisdom and emptiness. These two things will guarantee that you become happier. Okay, with that in mind, because it's constraining time, we will not go through the two methods. We have to study them in the first place, and then we have to practice them. So what we will do is we will do the four immeasurables. Four immeasurables, which is something common between Theravada Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, and Tibetan Buddhism. This is something common, and here we're going to include the altruism. So that part is what is unique of the Chinese Buddhism and the Tibetan Buddhism. That altruism is added to this in four immeasurables. Okay, ready? And in the end, we will end with the bodhicitta commitment. So that becomes very unique of the Mahayana teaching. Okay, ready? Reinforce the visualization of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you. So affectionate, so loving, so caring. And reinforce the visualization of all the demon sentient beings, including your two parents and your children and your family members, and everyone, the insects, the animals, the cats, the dogs, the human beings, the celestial beings, the spirits, the gods and goddesses, the heavenly ghosts, the hell beings, everyone around you in this entire universe. Okay, immeasurable loving kindness.